with 5 minutes. Thank you. Chairman Whitfield, Ranking Member Rush, members of the committee, it's really an honor to be here and to have the chance to share some thinking that fits into the framework of the discussion that the members have already laid out. It is indeed very timely because the United States is in the midst of an unconventional revolution in oil and gas that fits that all-of-the-above strategy that Congressman Rush talked about, and also becomes increasingly apparent goes beyond energy itself. That is, it goes to the economy. And it's only become really apparent in the last year or two that this unconventional revolution is supporting currently about 1.7 million jobs in the United States. And it's not only in the oil and gas producing states. There are 44,000 jobs in New York, which doesn't produce, 39,000 jobs in the state of Illinois. We think that overall job number will rise to 3 million by 2020. Last year, this unconventional revolution brought $62 billion in revenues to the federal and state government. By 2020, that number could be close to $115 billion. It is helping to stimulate a manufacturing renaissance in the United States. We've noted something like $95 billion of plans for investment in the chemical sector in the United States. Don't know if all of that will get done, but that demonstrates it. It's certainly improving the competitive position of the United States in the world and beginning to affect global geopolitics. I think although great advance has been made in solar and wind, I talk about them in the quest as the rebirth of renewables. Those are really innovations from the last century. In terms of this century, what's happening in oil and gas is the biggest energy innovation so far of the 21st century. It has unfolded fast. Those of you who participated in hearings in 2008 remember those dark, dire days when, I think as Chairman Whitfield reminded, the world was going to run out of oil and the United States was going to run out of oil even more quickly. How that has changed. Shale gas now has gone from 2% of our supply to 37% of our supply. And what is really dramatic is what's happened on oil, which instead of continuing its long decline has increased dramatically by almost 39% since 2008. That increase is equivalent, because you say, well, what does that mean? It's equivalent to the entire output of Nigeria, the 7th largest oil exporting country in OPEC. It is equivalent, almost equivalent, to Iran's total exports before sanctions went into place. Indeed, it is sobering to consider that without these technologies and the oil output that's resulted from them, the sanctions on Iran might well have failed. The environmental aspects have been touched on. U.S. carbon dioxide emissions from energy consumption are down 13% since 2007. I think in the discussion we might get to some of the conclusions that we came to as the Deutsch Committee, the subcommittee of the Secretary of Energy Advisory Board, set up at the behest of President Obama on managing the environmental issues around this. One thing we did come out of that hearing is a focus on the role of the states, and in particular the activities of Stronger, the collaborative organization of the states that seeks to collaborative benchmarking and standard setting. Let me come finally to something that is always contentious, which is imports and exports of oil and energy, which has been a major issue for the United States for about 70 years. Until the end of the last decade, it seemed that the question was only how fast would oil imports go up and how big would our imports of natural gas become, as the chairman referred to in his remarks. Well, this unconventional revolution has sure turned that around. Mr. Rush has cited the decline in our imports over the last 7 years or so forth, and this is the result both of surging production and greater efficiency. Moreover, the flow of imports has changed. Canada now supplies about 27% of our total. But what gets the most attention right now is the question of whether we're going to become an exporter of LNG, liquefied natural gas. And I think this needs to be looked at in terms of the overall U.S. supply and global competition. Our view, similar to others, is that the market in the U.S. is demand constrained, not supply constrained. Many LNG projects have been announced. We think only a handful will be built, these $10 billion projects. The reason is both cost and scale of global competition. Currently, already, before any of these get going, already about equivalent to a third of total existing capacity, new projects are under construction or been committed. So the U.S. capacity will be coming into a market in which there will be new supplies from Australia, new sources such as offshore East Africa and Eastern Mediterranean, Canada. Just yesterday, Canada approved a major export project to Asia. Finally, there's shale gas development that will occur elsewhere. So these will all be offsets. So let me just add one other thing. I think for decades, the United States has made the free flow of energy supplies really one of the cornerstone principles of our foreign policy. It is a principle we've urged on many other nations. So to me, at least, it's puzzling how we can say to a close ally like Japan, suffering energy shortages as a result of Fukushima, that on the one hand, we want you to import less oil from Iran, yet on the other hand, we don't want to consider new natural gas exports to Japan. So those are some thoughts for consideration on it. I'll just conclude by saying certainly expanded domestic supply will add resilience to shocks and add to our security cushion. Moreover, prudent expansion of U.S. energy exports will actually add an additional dimension to U.S. influence in the world. However, there remains only one world oil market, and a disruption anywhere will be a disruption anywhere. So anyway, altogether, this unconventional oil and gas revolution has already had a major impact in multiple dimensions. Its significance will continue to grow as it continues to unfold, and these opportunities certainly provide a timely opportunity for assessing the impact and significance in its many dimensions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yergin.